Well, Ghazali, our next guest is Mr. Francisco Cali Tzay. He's Maya Cachical from Guatemala, with experience in defending the rights of indigenous peoples, both in Guatemala and at the level of the United Nations and the OAS. He was Director of Human Rights at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala. He was a member of the Presidential Commission Against Discrimination and Racism Against Indigenous Peoples in Guatemala and President of the National Reparation Program for Victims of the Internal Armed Conflict. He was Ambassador of Guatemala to the Federal Republic of Germany and was President of the Committee for the Elimination to All Forms of Racial Discrimination, a treaty body from which he was elected for 4 consecutive periods of 4 years each. He's currently the Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Ghazali?
Yes, I would almost say like royalty in the house, but like worked a lot with Pancho. Also, like we full disclosure, Pancho was the president of the board of directors of IATC. I worked a lot with IATC, so that's how I got to know Pancho a lot, and very thrilled to see him as a special rapporteur. Given his track record, it is endless. Aside from everyone's that has been talking today as well. Welcome, Pancho. Very good to have you in. Let's start off with giving you like, all right, so 2 minutes or 3. What are you seeing out there in your role as special rapporteur? How are you thinking? How are you feeling about this Indigenous peoples and COVID-19?
Well, thank you very much, Ghazali. I have problem with my internet, and I was just here that you are introducing myself there, or you are introducing me to the audience. So I appreciate your words, and actually, I see the situation in this moment very difficult. I think that we have to adaptate ourselves to the new, we can say, to the new age of technology as we are doing in this moment, because this kind of conferences that we are used to do is physically being together all, or gathering together all in a room. The good thing of this way of communication is that now we are bringing the information and also the conference to more people than we used to do before. So what I'm seeing on my work in COVID-19 is that as you probably know, is that the Special Rapporteur on Indigenous Peoples' Rights is the least financed work in the United Nations. Now we are facing more difficulties to have that financiation to the work of the Special Rapporteur. And the thing is that I am seeing that also that indigenous people, they are showing their support, their solidarity, and also they're willing to help to fulfill my work as a special rapporteur. I think that is very important to highlight it, because in this moment of world problem that we are facing, indigenous people again, they are coming to show that there is a possibility to overcome, and the way to overcome is the solidarity and community work.
Thank you. And also, sorry, because it's very early in the morning, so it's very much very thankful, very appreciative that you get up early to be live in the show. So thank you so much. what it's, because I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit about your new role as a special rapporteur, and more like on a personal level. What inspires you, and what petrifies you? Like, what were you afraid of about when you became, about the prospect of becoming a special rapporteur?
Well, actually, I was, you know that I was 16 years in the Committee for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination.
Yes.
I was thinking to stop my participation on that level because it's very, you know, that is the work in the United Nations, if you wanted to do it 100% as your work, you can do it. The problem with being in the treaty bodies and also as a special rapporteur is that this work is an honorarium way of work. So that last year when I thought that 16 years was enough for me. I was thinking just to leave United Nations work and to go into do my personal professional work in my former work that I had in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala. But you know that some of the indigenous leaders, international indigenous leaders, they approached me. Even Tuomas also was one of the people, especially the Sami Parliament. They were one of the organization, IITC, and also the Pacific Indigenous Pacific. Now I don't remember, I'm sorry for this, but they approached me and they told me, look, we are not going to leave you. You have a good experience in the United Nations, so now we are going to propose you as a candidate to be a special rapporteur. The fear that I had is not a fear. It's something like sometimes you are not sure on yourself, especially because I have a handicap side of my on me, and it's the academic preparation, the academic studies. As you probably know, also is that when I got into the Committee for the Elimination of Racial against racial discrimination, I didn't have my high school, and when I was almost 2 years as a member of the committee, I decided to go back to formal studies or formal education. Finally, I ended my high school, and immediately I decided to go to the university, and I study law. But for all the situation that we were living here in Guatemala, and also because my work had asking me I have to use too much of my time. I was not able to make my professional exam to be a lawyer. So I finished all my law school, but I am not a lawyer. Still, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to do it. So when I saw all the other candidates, we were 12 candidates. When I saw the other candidates, I saw that they were very good, prepared in academic way. And the thing is that when I passed to the second stage of the in the election, I was surprised, and I said, well, if I am in the second stage, I have a good opportunity, because what I'm seeing is that they are looking on my experience and my commitment on the defense of the indigenous people's right. So that was in the beginning, but in the second and the third stage, I was sure on that. And the thing is that what I was afraid is that especially if I will receive the support of the indigenous people organization. And now I can tell you that I have been receiving a very good messages from almost, I cannot say all the indigenous organizations, but for the majority of the indigenous people organization, I have been receiving a very good responses and a very good messages of supporting my work.
Yeah, definitely. I can very much attest to the very supportive messages. I've also seen them going around. Pancho, just a question about, yeah, maybe now as a special rapporteur, and we'll talk about the CERD membership in a little bit. First, we had Rosa Stavenhagen, James Anaya, Vicky Telecorpus. Now you, what is the I would say like the special sauce that the special ingredient that Pancho brings to the special rapporteur role?
Well, probably,
what have you learned, or yeah, I don't know.
Well, I learned a lot from the three of them. They are the three of them. They are very professional special rapporteurs. They have their own specialities. Stavenhagen, he had his specialization was land. Jim, he's a lawyer. He's a very good on all the legal issues, especially. And Vicky, well, she also had a very good background, especially as an activist. So she make a very good work on that. And I think that what I wanted to do is to strengthening the knowledge on the Declaration of the Indigenous Peoples' Rights, especially because when the Special Rapporteur figure was created in 20 years ago, 19 years ago, we were thinking to create the figure of the Special Rapporteur to have one institution that is going to take care on the implementation of the declaration. Why I'm saying this? Because there were only two persons who prepared the draft resolution to create this figure, and was Mario Ibarra, is a Mapuche from Chile, and myself. There were not any other people. Of course, we were supported by IITC on those days. I was the vice chair of IITC 19 years ago. So the only two of us, we were discussing among ourselves there because there were not other indigenous person participating in the Commission of Human Rights. So we were there together. We were discussing what else is going that we need to create if we wanted to implement the Declaration of the Indigenous Peoples' Rights. And that year also we were discussing in the Indigenous Caucus the issue of the creation of the permanent forum. I remember that when we presented the draft resolution to some of the permanent representatives, they told us, look, you are crazy because you have already, you have almost already the permanent forum. And now you wanted to create another figure. You are just crazy because you know that you are not going to be able to have this figure. But we insisted 20 years ago, and was 19 years ago when the Human Rights Commission adopted the resolution. So what I wanted to do, especially in this moment, is to see that the Declaration of the Indigenous Peoples' Rights is fulfilled by all states. But the thing is that the COVID-19, what I'm seeing is that is putting in danger that implementation, because the free, prior, and informed consent has been put aside by the enterprises, by the states, taking advantage of the curfew and the special measure that they are taking to prevent the spreading of COVID-19. So I think that probably that is going to be my, as you say, my sauce of pancho sauce.
Pancho sauce.
on the work of the special rapporteur.
I don't think that's. I would like to unpack that a little bit. What you see, like the effects of COVID, like shaping the indigenous rights enjoyment of indigenous peoples, the rights of indigenous people. Sorry. What do you see, and like what? I know that you also have started a questionnaire. Maybe you can also talk a little bit about that, if you can.
Well, actually, you know that we are preparing the report. We are going. We have deadlines to send to the General Assembly and to the Human Rights Council, and I can say in general that what I'm seeing is how indigenous people have been able to support themselves to prevent the spreading of COVID-19, especially where indigenous people have the control of their self-determination, the self-government, or the autonomy, as many other people they are saying. I know that autonomy is only one aspect of self-determination. And the thing is that where indigenous people have control of their territories, what I'm seeing in the report is where they have been able to confront the spreading of COVID-19. But and also they have been showing solidarity not only among indigenous people but among other communities that are not indigenous people, especially sharing their food that they are producing in their communities with other communities that are not indigenous people. But also what I'm seeing in the report is that it's not that they are the state, they are not attending the indigenous people and health services. The thing is that COVID-19 just took out the cover that they have put it on the reality of indigenous people. COVID-19, what is really is bringing to the world is the reality that the unjust system that indigenous people have been living, especially because they don't have health services, because they don't have they had not been able to, as Devasish was mentioning, even that indigenous people, they have been secured their food. If we talk about a general policy or the national policy, they have not securing food for indigenous people. There is a lack of data on how many indigenous people have been affected by COVID-19. Also the migrant people, majority are indigenous people, and they are not that we don't have a data specific for indigenous people. Also, there are the growing of the criminalization of the work of indigenous peoples defending their rights. There is growing in this moment, and we are seeing how the increasing of violence against indigenous communities, against indigenous leaders, has been, as I was saying, is growing in this moment. So I think that COVID-19 in this moment is affecting not only as a illness, but also as a political effects, economical effect, social and cultural effects to indigenous peoples.
Sure, thank you so much, Pancho. Final thoughts. What have we not touched upon that you're proud of or curious about or want indigenous peoples to think about?
Well, actually, I think that it's not that you have not touching with in general, but in my conversation you have not touched on this issue, and is how you being able to gather all the leadership that is participating in this moment, because the governance of indigenous people is that the combination of the capability that the indigenous leadership had, and also the capability that the elders can give the knowledge to youth, and how youth are helping elders to manage technology, because that is one of the things that we are not used to use technology. I remember on my days in the United Nations in Geneva, writing in telegraphs, I think it's called in English, and telefax, I'm sorry, that you have to write everything first, and then you have to put it just bind into the machine, and then they are going to receive the fax in the other side. So now with this technology, it's amazing how we can communicate and how we can show solidarity to indigenous peoples.
Thank you so much, Pancho. I know that that's 15 minutes is not enough time for you, but appreciate you coming in this early, and hopefully that we can have like a longer conversation in the future, and hopefully that you can stick around, because Laila is after this and she might.
Yeah, no, thank you very much to you, and I will be here.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Ini.
Yes, it's amazing to hear the story and everything that he has done. Wow, it's amazing, man.